Hey everyone, if you're watching this, you've seen the title, you know what happened. I don't want to spend too much time talking about what happened today, but rather, I'd like to talk about the man who it happened to. From my limited experience with him as a Turning Point chapter president, what I can say is that Charlie Kirk was cut from a different cloth. He had a vision for this country and had the aptitude to get us there. At 18 years old, he started Turning Point USA out of his garage, no less. No money, no big donors, just a kid with a dream for this country to get better. He went to CPAC. He went around asking for donations, explaining his vision for this country, and eventually he found someone that believed in him enough to throw him a couple $1,000. Five, if I remember correctly. And he took it and he ran with it and turned it into the single most consequential piece of the conservative movement. Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. Charlie was someone who cascaded excellence everywhere he went, in every conversation, with every person. He was the sort of person who didn't care if you were the newest volunteer or the most seasoned organizer. He would talk to you, he would shake your hand, look you in the eye. He was invested in this, he was invested in people. I met him on a few occasions. On one occasion, I had the opportunity to have a short conversation with him, a couple minutes. Long if you consider how long people usually get to talk to him. And what Charlie put out to me when I was saying, how do I be like you? How does someone become Charlie Kirk? How does someone take a dream, an aspiration, a goal, and turn it into a reality? He gave me a very straightforward answer. He didn't give me a mumbo jumbo. If you believe hard enough and you work hard enough, you're gonna get it. He gave me milestones. He put it like this: anyone can do it. Anyone can be Charlie Kirk. But if you're not reading 20 books a year, big big academic books, if you're not challenging debates at every opportunity, if you're not standing up for your convictions at every opportunity and challenging those of others at every opportunity, you don't want it. And you're going to stumble, you're going to mess up, you're going to fumble, you're going to have gaffes, but it sharpens you. And he was about it. At every opportunity, he stood down from no challenge. The only time he wouldn't involve himself was with things that he found disingenuous. But anyone who had an honest belief that their ideology was better, he'd take them up on it. He'd debate them. He would talk with them. Charlie was someone who saw his generation. Remember, he was only 31 years old. My generation, our generation, and saw the unfair deal we've been given. The first generation since George Washington, as he likes to put it, to have it worse than their parents. He saw us struggling. And he said, this is our nation to take control of, to restore. It's not only our duty, it's our privilege. We get to be a part of the Great American Comeback. That was the name of his tour. The American Comeback. You know, at Fresno State, we were planning on bringing him. He was scheduled to come to Fresno State November 5th. I was working with the school to make it happen. And now all the students of Fresno State will be deprived of that opportunity, as will every student from this day forward be deprived of that opportunity to hear him speak, to ask him a question. You see, Charlie was more than just the CEO and founder of Turning Point. He was a voice. Countless Americans, countless young people. Charlie was also a husband. He was also a father and a son. The profound effect that he's had on my life and the life of others is dwarfed by the void left in his family's life. And I don't think people realize how bad it is, right? There are some real sick people on the internet. There, for the rest of his wife and his children's lives, they're going to be plagued with that video of Charlie being taken from us. People don't realize that. You think it's bad now with just like people antagonizing the fans of Charlie? His family is going to be plagued with his last moments. I think that's the most horrifying thing of it all. You know, you ever go through your friends list and you say, oh, you know, I know these people from high school. I used to work with this person. Oh, this is one of my friends that I met at this party. He seemed like a really cool person. All these people, it seems so nice, you know. And then something like this happens, and that nice person in your life is posting that they're happy that Charlie died. They're celebrating. And they'll come up with everything in the world to justify this man being shot down during a civil discourse. It's disgusting. It's barbaric. It's subhuman. It lacks humanity. Charlie had a way of pulling out the vigor and youth of students, volunteers, patriots. He had a way of not just projecting his vision, but reigniting yours of what could be, of how great we can make America great again. I want to read you this post of mine. Charlie Kirk started Turning Point USA all by himself in his garage and would grow it into the single most important component of the conservative movement. Turning Point USA allowed me to take my passion for country and community and turn it into purpose. I've met amazing people and made close friends through this organization. It privileged me with the opportunity to debate and discuss with the intelligentsia across the political spectrum, which developed myself to a point of certain confidence and competency. It's taken me across the country and into settings beyond what was typical for me. Turning Point was a start in activism and politics, to which I am now preparing for a prestigious opportunity in DC. I am but one of many whose lives were forever changed by Charlie Kirk and his amazing organization. Not just our founder, but also a son, husband, and father. May your soul rest in heaven eternally. May your wife and children one day know peace again. And may our country heal from these times of political violence. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. That was my statement on my Instagram. But there's this bubbling, boiling opinion take that I need to release. There's so many people spitting this vitriol that Charlie deserved it for X, Y, and Z, Nazi, fascist, you use whatever word you'd like. But what people don't really understand is Charlie really wasn't that far right. He wasn't far right at all, really. In fact, I would say if you have a true understanding of what the right wing really is, he was moderate. Moderate at most. But in a country where our churches are gunned down by transgenders, in a country where helpless women are stabbed by mental black lunatics on a bus with no repercussion and no help from any of the other passengers, in a country where someone as prolific and as civil as Charlie Kirk is gunned down mercilessly, that's enough to radicalize people. That's enough to send someone over the edge. For a second, almost sent me over the edge. You know, if someone had got to me in that twilight of realization and they came to me wrong, they came to me incorrectly, they came to me gloating about Charlie Kirk's death, I'm not sure what I would have done. And that's been the conversation I've had with several other people. People who I consider well-tempered. People who I consider to be well put together, have a lot to lose. I can only imagine for all the people who don't have a lot to lose. For the people who aren't as tempered. America's a very big country. Charlie Kirk was killed, and as people dance on the proverbial ashes, I'm worried about those who aren't well adjusted, who aren't well composed, well tempered, taking this as the last straw. You guys create your own monsters. The people that you call Nazis, fascists, racist, bigoted, etc., you're creating them actively. Because it's hard not to become a hateful person when you're surrounded by all of this hate. And these people do hate you, mind you. If you're a conservative watching this, these people do hate you. With every fiber of their being. These people celebrate babies being murdered. These people celebrate every culture other than their own, the one they've been privileged to grow up in, and cry foul when you begin to notice the inferiority of these other cultures that they brought in. Truly, Charlie Kirk was a blessing for America, a blessing for conservatives, and I would even say a blessing for liberals because he brought out the best of us. Charlie Kirk brought out the best of us. Charlie Kirk's gone now. There's a huge vacuum in the space. Who's going to fill it? It's not going to be Steven Crowder. It's not going to be Ben Shapiro. It's not going to be Brandon Tatum. Who's going to fill the space? I have an idea who's going to fill the space, but that's neither here nor there. If you haven't already, please say a prayer for Charlie's soul. Please say a prayer for Charlie's wife and children. say a prayer for Charlie's parents. Say a prayer for America. And lastly, I want you to say a prayer for the leftists that continue to celebrate Charlie's death. Because the Lord knows they're not praying for themselves. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening to a Turning Point President's little spill about Charlie. Rest in peace, big guy.